A couple of hours ago, we've had a lovely party here. We've also had a little bit of lunch, some nice sea bass, and there's tremendous celebrities around here. We've also seen the changing of the guards. We've heard Art Garfunkel, he's sung us a couple of tunes, so it's really been a fabulous atmosphere. But before we bring you the tennis, we thought we'd introduce you to some of the famous faces here at Buckingham Palace.
I've been outside, the first time inside, and it's fantastic. It's such a lovely place.
It's definitely gorgeous, you know, like Anna said, I think it's a great experience for us and it's a great cause, so it's definitely very exciting.
Well, my mum actually warned me against John McEnroe always, you know, she said, don't behave like John McEnroe. And, I never questioned too many line calls in my day, but obviously, you know, John McEnroe, one of the great tennis players of our time.
Well, I'm a big fan of Bjorn Borg, so I can't wait to see him play.
John McEnroe is the man who showed the world the inner tension that goes with competitive sports, and I find that a very candid, interesting thing to do.
Well, we've certainly had a fabulous time here. Of course, we are interested in the tennis, but it is for a good cause. It's for the NSPCC. And we spoke earlier to the chairman of the Full Stop campaign, and he's the person responsible for bringing the tennis event here to Buckingham Palace. It is His Royal Highness, the Duke of York. Well, sir, this is a wonderful setting for a tennis event, but how did it come about?
It came about because a number of people in the executive part of the campaign that I'm running for the NSPCC said to me that wouldn't it be a good idea to have a tennis event? And I said, well, of course it would be a good idea to have a tennis event. Well, and what would you like to do? And there were various options, but it became fairly evident as a part of Johan Elias that there was a possibility of Borg and McEnroe. And I said, well, this seems to be an excellent opportunity to raise the awareness of the campaign. We then set about looking for a venue to do it. And we were turned down from a number of venues for various reasons. And I finally decided that well, we've got a perfectly good tennis court in the garden of Buckingham Palace. I would go and ask the Queen. And I duly did so, and she thought, well, it was not a bad idea. It was discussed around the bazaars in the palace for, I suppose, about a month before everybody said, yep. In fact, it was resurfaced only last year, so it hasn't had that much play on it. I can assure you of that.
Yes, it's certainly been a busy time because we've been hearing that you've been involved in so many different events for the NSPCC throughout the year. And what is coming up?
Well, there are all sorts of things coming up. Apart from selling the badges to make people aware that there is such a thing as a full stop. It's a nice green full stop. And the idea about the green is that actually there's a lot more to be said about this that is positive than is actually negative. And we want people to realise that there is positive. Towards the end of the year, we're looking at trying to raise the public's awareness and allow the public to participate in raising the money. And so we shall be doing a major campaign towards the end of October, involving another sport which has been remarkably helpful, which is football. And we'll be doing an event or a series of events around football and other things to give the public at large an opportunity to participate.
So back to today's match, it's Bjorn Borg against John McEnroe. It's a fantastic match for viewers to watch. It's one of those great rivalries in sport. Now, I've been talking to John McEnroe and he's promising he's going to behave himself, but are you a bit worried because you know his reputation?
I have no doubt that the atmosphere here will probably get to one or other of them before the end of the match, and so I'm sure that we will have fireworks before the end of the day. Not real, but on the court. And I think that they will play a marvellous match. It's, I believe, 3 sets, and I think that it will be great fun to watch, a spectacle, but at the same time it's in a good cause. And then, of course, we have an opportunity to have a mixed doubles match afterwards, which I think will be interesting. Yeah. It's not being shown live on television, but I think you're going to put it in the can.
We will.
In case it rains. And
it will.
I'm just hoping that it's not going to rain today before 3:30, but we hope so. Yeah. And we hope for a good day.
Well, it's certainly been a good day so far, and His Royal Highness, the Duke of York, he'll be on court for the introduction of the players in just a moment. But let's take a moment to talk about the two players. Very different characters, but both with outstanding records. Bjorn Borg, of course, set a record by winning 5 consecutive Wimbledon titles. He also won 6 French Open crowns on the clay in Paris. And as for John McEnroe, well, he won 3 times at Wimbledon and a record of 9 Grand Slam titles in all. They really are 2 outstanding champions. But let's hear from them now. I spoke to them earlier today. Well, welcome to Buckingham Palace, John. They've let you in.
I'm here.
You were worried that they'd let you in.
This isn't really Buckingham Palace. We're just kidding people.
So which gate did you come in then, John?
The side gate.
Bjorn, how did this come about? How did the two of you come to play in this event today?
Well, actually, it was one of my friends, good friend Johan Elias. He knew some people from the palace, and they started to talk maybe a year ago, something to do something together with a charity. And for a long time, me and John, we always, wanted to come back to London and play, though. And one time we talked about to play at Wimbledon, but that never happened, though.
Mm-hmm.
And, the possibility to play here today for a good charity cause, and it came through happening, and we're happy to be here.
Got to be on your best behaviour, the two of you today, though.
Well, I am always.
You don't have to worry about him. That's the least of your worries. But certainly they got mics all around me just to make sure. Toss me out in a hurry.
Bjorn, I've been joking with John during Wimbledon that you've been putting in about 4 hours a day on the court.
Well, I've been trying to play as much as I can. I know John has been, struggling a little bit lately because he has to, do the television.
We've kept him busy for you, don't worry.
Stiffened up,
Have you enjoyed the first week at Wimbledon?
I've enjoyed it quite a bit. It's been a crazy first week on the upper half of the men's side, and there's been some great matches, and they got through the first week, a little bit worried that if it rained a lot, they'd play Sunday, and they tossed us out the window. So for us, this is nice, and it's a beautiful day. So, so far it's been a great Wimbledon.
And do matches between the two of you still mean a lot? Obviously, it's not the same as when you're playing, but there's still a rivalry there?
Well, every time we play, they start talking about the match in '80 and bring that back, unfortunately. And so we have to try to live up to that, which isn't easy. But the fact that people remember is great, and we do our best. The old saying, the older we get, the better we used to be. We're just trying to stave off the inevitable here.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that match back in 1980 then, Bjorn? Your memories.
Well, my memories from that match.
I remember I won the tiebreaker, and now I tell people that I won, and most people don't even remember.
No, actually, that's true.
Nice.
I mean, a lot of people over the years even coming up to me and say, it's a great tiebreaker, but bad luck, you lost the final. And I have to remind them, no, I won that final.
You enjoy that, don't you, Jim?
Well, it's better than the reality.
So what's the plan of attack for the two of you today? What's the game
well,
plan?
we have to see, the thing is that he's got to stay back. We got some wigs coming in about an hour, and then I've got to chip, charge, and approach, and he's going to hit some balls by me, but hopefully not too many.
Have we got the headbands on for today or not?
Apparently. I mean, I think so. You remember that company, who was it that called and said they bring the wig and the headband?
I don't know the name of the company. That'd be fantastic.
Well, we don't want to give them too much of a plug, but
No.
Supposedly they're on their way.
Okay, well, best of luck. It's lovely to see you back here. I'll talk to you after the match.
Are you going to dress up too?
I am. What's wrong with this?
I mean tennis club.
Oh, sorry, no. No, my days on the court are over. I'm going to leave it to you guys, that's for sure. Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Sure.
I certainly am going to leave it to Borg and McEnroe on the court, but now the talking has been done. The tennis is about to get underway, and you couldn't think of a more perfect setting for this match. A great rivalry between Borg and McEnroe that has spanned back decades. Well, it's going to be relived again here in the gardens of Buckingham Palace, and for such a good cause as well. It's the Duke of York's NSPCC Challenge. The players are beginning to make their way to the court in the 36 acres that lie here at Buckingham Palace. There we are. The court awaits. The crowd have taken their seats. So let's go courtside now for the introduction of these two great champions.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Duke of York's NSPCC Challenge, taking place in sunshine in the beautiful surroundings of the gardens of Buckingham Palace. We are honoured to be joined today by His Royal Highness, the Duke of York, who is chairman of the NSPCC's Full Stop campaign. launched last year to stop cruelty to children in this country for good. The campaign aims to reach every corner of society, and today's events builds on a fantastic support the NSPCC has already generated with so many other areas of the sporting world. So first, let me introduce the ball boys and ball girls from the Epping Forest Community Tennis Programme. Followed by officials of the Association of British Tennis Officials. And the players for this match, John McEnroe and Bjorn Borg. Forever entwined in the memories of millions of people worldwide for that historic tiebreak they played in the Wimbledon final of 1980. You probably may not even know the result. John McEnroe won the tiebreak, Bjorn Borg won the match. But not the following year, when it was reversed. And now, please welcome His Royal Highness, the Duke of York. And the umpire for this match, from Eastbourne, Mr. Jerry Armstrong. His Royal Highness will now toss the coin. Very appropriately, it came out heads.
You're going to serve. You serve. Good man. Good luck. Good luck. Borg is going to serve.
His Royal Highness tells me that Mr. Borg is going to serve.
Balls are just coming up. That's wrong, that's the end one. 3 side. 3 side.
So it's going to be the usual 5-minute warm-up on this Dura court, porous asphalt they're playing on, erected here in the grounds of Buckingham Palace. Bjorn Borg, the nearer of the two contestants, and both of them playing on the senior circuit these days, and both of them very fit. Borg, the first crack of the afternoon from John McEnroe, they told me it was going to be on grass. I suspect he would probably prefer it to be on grass, would he not, Pat Cash?
Thanks, Barry. Yeah, I think he probably would, actually. I think the last time these two guys played, in actual fact, Borg won on the hard court. John McEnroe's stats, 41. He's certainly fit for his age, 5'11". Highest ranking, #1, 77 titles and 77 doubles titles. Not many players can do both of those. Win a lot of singles and doubles, and very few do both these days.
It was a crucial part of his game. Really made him so wonderful. His touch.
Semi-final of the Australian Open, about the only tournament he didn't do particularly well in. Runner-up in the French Open after having match point against Ivan Lendl. And 1-2-3 Wimbledon's only Jimmy Connors stopped him there. Could have, and a very close 5-set match, could have been 4 in a row. And US Open dominated that for quite a while. And Bjorn Borg couldn't quite clinch it.
I was going to say that's the one that Bjorn Borg was unable to win, as we will see from his statistics. Whether the military are also able to attend. Bjorn Borg a little grayer than when I last saw him, given such a good reception, as indeed was John P. yesterday in the parade of champions on the centre court at Wimbledon. It's his record. Look at the French Open, 6 of those, 5 consecutive at Wimbledon. Runner-up only, though, in the US Open, much to his disappointment. And in the Australian Open, only the 3rd round in 1974. But I think it's fair to say the Australian Open was not then what it is now. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's probably right. Borg, a couple of the players decided to not boycott, but decided not to go down to the Australian Open. Borg and Connors didn't go down there. All the players have been playing the recent 15 years or so. But for some reason, they decided not to make the trip. There was a lot of conflict around the Christmas period. It was just before Christmas, and then it was just around Christmas, and now it's clearly placed, well and truly placed in the end of January, giving enough time for the players to have a Christmas break, run off the pudding, and get back into shape.
1 minute.
The man in the chair is one of the most experienced around, Jerry Armstrong. I think I'm right in saying that he was the umpire, though, that actually defaulted McEnroe once in the Australian Open. But that's not something that be remembered.
Well, it could be. I'll tell you what, he wants to be ready. You never know when John's going to get up to his old antics.
And I'm sure that...
even though they're probably not as severe as they used to be, I've got to say.
But he'll play a bit to the crowd, that's for sure. But,
I don't know if he's actually playing to the crowd or not. He's very, very highly competitive, John. And Bjorn's going to be very keen to do well here too. He said it's going to be his last year of playing the senior circuit. It's a real pity.
This match will be the best of 3 tiebreak sets. Bjorn Borg won the toss and elected to serve.
So I was talking to somebody at lunch who had a game of pool against John McEnroe and had the temerity to beat him, and he told me that John McEnroe threw his cue on the floor at the end of it. So he's competitive in everything that he does.
First set, Bjorn Borg to serve. Play.
Not quite what he was looking for, and JP making rather a lot of it.
Love 15.
Well, I think Bjorn was very gentle there with John. Not a particularly great lob.
First service.
That's one.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm sure John McEnroe's seen a few of those passing shots. The major thing about Borg is he's so accurate with those passing shots.
$15.30.
Don't think we'll put up the double fault stat at this stage of the proceedings.
$30 all.
It's going to take them time to get with the timing, but not too long for John P. to get with the antics. Hasn't actually timed it well at any stage yet.
$40.30.
Well, it's always been Bjorn Borg's strength, his ability to hit the ball accurately in the corners. very underrated smashing ability as well.
Game Borg. First game.
Well, I wonder if they remember they're not allowed to sit down anymore. John McEnroe hasn't remembered.
Little close.
New rules, I think. For us old guys, we need to sit down at the chain after the first game. 5 minutes warm up and 3 minutes of a game is a bit too much.
Is that right?
Bjorn making the point.
Oh, thank you.
Smiling Jerry Armstrong. There was a time when I think it's fair to say that most gentlemen in the chair were struggling with nervous tension when McEnroe came.
John McEnroe to serve.
That's John's little girl waving to him and right behind him there. Just, come on, Daddy. There's Paddy. Emily on the right. Little Anna with the little hat there.
15 love.
And watching him at lunchtime gave a whole new image to John McEnroe.
Well, Mac's giving Bjorn a bit of a hard time about standing so far back. Bjorn Borg was sort of legendary for standing all the way back and giving himself plenty of time to hit those returns and the passing shots. And he's very dangerous when he stands up closer to the baseline, giving less time for McEnroe to volley.
Pretty weighty serve, just too long.
Love.
Very good, deep second serve, right in the line. Propped up. It's quite a slow court here. The boys would have been practicing out here at Wimbledon on the grass, which is quick. It's good to see McEnroe coming to the net. Don't see too many great serve and volleyers, and that McEnroe style hasn't changed over the years. A lot of players they do change their style slightly.
Game McEnroe. One game all.
And a love game at the opening for John McEnroe, after the encouragement from one of his brood. Oh yes, that was vintage in both cases. Borg into the corner, McEnroe down the line with a little extra.
Love 15. Next, Versus. Love 30.
Bjorn's taking his time to get used to the speed of the court. Another McEnroe trademark. Something somebody I learnt off. The defensive lob of McEnroe is just fantastic. And he used to hit it so high, just like that one. Really get himself back into the play. Oh, yes.
He left it too, I think.
30 all.
Great play, McEnroe sneaking in. Borg slicing it down the line, finding the right in the corner.
.30-40.
Double fault setting up the first break point of the match. And the second serve. Will we see John McEnroe coming to the net, chipping and charging? Ooh.
Deuce.
I don't think you doubted for 1 minute that that's what he would do. It's a bit unlucky too. First deuce of the match.
Asking the kids to tell the umpire to tell the kids to be quiet until he realised it was his. They were his kids.
I think he knew.
Oh!
Advantage McEnroe.
So, second break point.
Second service. Game McEnroe.
Slightly disappointing end.
McEnroe leads 2-1.
Third double fault from Bjorn Borg. And this is a surface that they wouldn't play on that often. I mean, it doesn't compare with either Australia or with the United States. But who do you think it would favour more, this man?
Well, it's hard to say, really. Certainly is quite a slow court, which would think, I suppose in the past would have suited Borg, but I believe these days would actually probably, the quicker the court, the better for Bjorn, because he actually likes the pace coming through. He does very, very well indoors or on the hard court. The slower the court, finding that hasn't quite got the pace that he used to have off the ball. But, I think you'll notice that the guys might be just a little bit slower than they used to be, but when they get there, they hit the ball just as well as they used to, which is a quite amazing thing. Of course, they're still very competitive.
15.
And I think most viewers would have noticed they didn't exactly dwell on the chairs, did they? Quite happy to come out and get on with it. It's the predecessors a little bit further back to McEnroe and Borg. Didn't sit down at all.
Well, a great thing to watch about John McEnroe is his ability to get into the net so quickly. You don't see a great lot of serve volleys, as I've just mentioned, but watch where he's hitting his first volley.
40 love.
Why didn't you give me those calls when we were playing?
Jerry Armstrong having to have a smile on his face this afternoon. Why didn't you give me those calls when I was playing? Just for a moment, he wondered.
Well, of course, there's not going to be any chalk or any of that sort of stuff, Mac. He's probably tempted to say, I saw chalk.
Whoops. Now get up, we need you next week on BBC television.
Bill.
don't think it's anything too, dare I use the word serious?
My lawyer.
Just not used to the surface here. It's a little bit sticky at times.
I don't know if I can do my commentary properly next week.
As it turns out, he's got one of his old Davis Cup trainers here, Bill Norris, who works with the ATP Tour. Probably see him on the time to time at Wimbledon. So, Bill, get out here.
He made him bend after the fall.
Boy, that was a fantastic return from Borg. He barely got his strings on the racket. Strings on the ball, the racket on the ball. He managed to get it down to McEnroe's toes. Watch McEnroe get close to the net here.
Advantage McEnroe.
Borg trying to get round, of course running around on the forehand from that distance slightly behind the back of the court. It's going to give McEnroe that extra second or so, half a second to get into the net.
Game McEnroe. McEnroe leads 3-1.
So the early advantage with the slightly younger man. Only just.
Love 15. Love 13.
Well, Borg just deciding to push it down the line. Virtually got past McEnroe, but I mean, that is just the genius that we know of John McEnroe. Racket head control.
15-30.
And, over the stand.
All.
Oh, we didn't see too many of those from Borg. A bit of a gift there for John McEnroe. Sets up a break point.
Deuce.
Great depth on that second serve.
3 consecutive deuces. Rolls reverse, but the length of the approach as immaculate as enough. Seen that expression before somewhere.
Game ball. McEnroe leads 3-2.
Well, Bjorn Borg's serve was quite underrated in the peak of his career. He had a very big first serve, very powerful. Didn't do an awful lot with his second serve, but was very competent. And it was only when players, like John McEnroe, who really took a lot of risks to get into the net, to put the pressure on Borg that ever created Borg any troubles whatsoever. And of course, I think people tend to forget what great athlete Borg was. I mean, in my opinion, he is the greatest athlete ever to walk on the tennis court.
You're the second person to say that to me in 24 hours. And he's still amazingly fit, apparently.
He's still amazingly fit. I mean, this is a guy who used to go and train 5 hours every day, wake up, and off he'd go again. And he's not only that, he was incredibly fit, incredibly fast. I mean, one of the fastest, probably half a dozen players to ever walk on the court, you know, alongside the speeds of Michael Chang and company.
Incidentally, you'll spot a lot of famous faces in the crowd. Many of the champions who were on centre court yesterday are here today, and people from the worlds of entertainment and politics.
15 love.
Liz Hurley among the watchers, just to emphasise the point, and Anna Kournikova just behind. She's playing in the doubles in this special event that promises to raise so much money for the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, and in particular the Full Stop campaign, which His Royal Highness the Duke of York is the chairman.
$15 all.
Schiffer.
30-15.
It's a real who's who, sitting down having lunch in there with all the players and
she'll be supporting Borg. She told me she's a very great fan of Borg's, and it's because of him that she took up playing tennis.
Oh, fantastic volley.
It's 40-15.
Again, the racket head control. Just incredible. Great disguise on the McEnroe serve because of this weird service stance. Just push that one wide.
40-30.
Nobody's ever tried to follow this stance at serve, have they?
I think he's something he created when he had a bad back, when on his early days, and when he was in college, he found this prevented pain in his back.
Yeah, McEnroe.
And when it works well, it works like that.
McEnroe leads by 4 games to 2.
It's 1 apiece. And the ace column 4-2 to McEnroe. Been on court now for 20 minutes.
$15 love.
Ooh.
15 all.
I was thinking to myself, these guys are really warmed up now. They're really starting to hit the ball well. Corner to corner stuff. Borg ended up getting the easy shot and missing it. Probably would have counted those mistakes on one hand during a French Open. He went through the tournament without losing his stats.
$30-15.
Well, there's that backhand. It's produced so many winners over the years, copied by so many greats. I'll tell you, without that backhand, you wouldn't see Andre Agassi out in the centre court tomorrow.
40-15.
Because these players are the guys that everybody copied. I certainly copied McEnroe's attacking style.
Sometimes his temperament.
Oh, not me. What are you trying to say? You cannot be serious by that comment. Oh, clever play.
Ball change, please. New balls. McEnroe leads 4 games to 3.
Incidentally, nobody's followed you in climbing all the way up over the stand either, so... Where were you, incidentally, when they had that famous tiebreak?
Well, I was... where was I? Actually, that's a good question. I think I was playing a junior tournament in Europe. I remember watching it. I remember certainly watching those Wimbledons. I'm not sure if I was on court myself, playing some junior tournaments in Italy. There's the accuracy of these approach shots from Borg. He's been hitting them, but he's been missing the easy ones. That time coming in and finishing off the easy volley. But you see McEnroe, I mean, I certainly copied his attacking style, and then you could say, well,
time.
You know, I've heard Michael Stick say and Pete Sampras say that, you know, they like my attacking style, and Pat Rafter, you know, similar sort of thing. So these are the sort of styles that have been passed down, have been successful the whole way through. It's not a... I don't know where McEnroe got it from, but he must have copied it from somebody else as well. Oh, that's a great touch.
15 love.
Look how close he is to the net. Now it says good kick serve that he hit, and the extra distance that Borg is at the back of the court. That's why watch Andre Agassi at Wimbledon tomorrow. He stands very, very close, and that's to prevent that sort of thing from happening. Borg moving in a lot on that first serve. Oh, he picked the side.
30 love.
He guessed the right side. Had the opportunity but missed it.
Yeah. Just a look. Oh, Borg was prepared to accept it, wasn't he?
Borg was halfway across the court. Oh, he's gone back. The McEnroe stare has succeeded again.
It's okay, I don't want any freebies from you.
40 love.
And he won the case. Change of mind from the linesman. 40 love.
Game McEnroe.
Hasn't quite got the forehand in gear, to be absolutely truthful. Bjorn Borg.
He hasn't got the timing yet, that's for sure.
McEnroe leads 5 games to 3.
Don't tell me you're like ball boys and girls. We got 200 ball boys.
They actually won their place here by winning various prizes, all part of this charity.
Oh. 15 love. All.
Getting a little frustrating, Bjorn, now. He's getting frustrated about double faults.
Make that number 4.
Oh, well left, John.
15-30. $15-40.
So here are a couple of set points for John McEnroe. That's how it's done.
Game and first set, McEnroe. By 6 games to 3.
Couple of breaks, 27 minutes. And if you're looking in the unforced errors column, it would be mainly filled by forehand errors from Bjorn Borg, I think.
Yeah, I think he's probably, as I said, he's getting used to the court, and be very very few unforced errors from Borg in a whole tournament. He's obviously getting the feel of the court. Here, John McEnroe, he's both players obviously coming here playing for free. John McEnroe does a lot of stuff for charity. He's certainly a patron of various charities, one that I work with as well, called Goal. They do stuff for third world development relief. They're always both very willing to offer any help they can, which is something you don't expect. It's Damon and Georgie Hill, and not a quite very keen tennis player. Hasn't got much of a backhand though. Sorry, Damon. I have to say that.
He said the serve was coming on, and I think he's happier to be here than at Manicourt this afternoon for the French Grand Prix.
Second set.
Oh yes.
Like to see a bit more of that. Not that I'm taking sides.
Love 15.
Just not quite far enough away. Usually the McEnroe curl will bring that ball further away.
All.
Maybe he doesn't get down quite as well as he did. Beautiful.
The interesting thing about Borg is that the passing shot, look how deep the passing shot goes. Not only is it very accurately down the line, but it's also very deep, which makes it extra hard to pick up, because you're not just going wide, you have to go wide and up when you're trying to cut that passing shot off, as McEnroe was trying to do.
All.
Well, Bjorn Borg, of course, never used to play a lead-up tournament to Wimbledon. He went and practiced hard on the grass courts for 3 weeks, for 2 weeks leading up to the event. If he ever finished early at the French Open, which is very rare.
40-30.
Otherwise it'd be 2 weeks, so here he has walked on the court for the first time today. Obviously doesn't have that 2 weeks preparation.
Game McEnroe.
Great serve in the body that was.
First game, second set.
We're talking about people following things. I think it's fair to say that was something that Andre Agassi followed, and this year finally coming to Queens and sadly being injured after a slip, or as a result of a slip. Hope he'll come again.
Well, Borg was always at the end of the French Open. He was always successful, won 6 of those, 6 French Opens out of 8 years. So he was always a bit tired. His fitness was always phenomenal. He just needed to get used to that grass courts.
Love.
So what he used to do is hit constantly with his practice partner Vitas Gerulaitis and good mate. He said they used to go out and they used to play 3 hours. They used to break for lunch, a couple of hours, and go back out again. Another 2 or 3 hours every single day for 2 weeks. That's an incredible training regime.
All.
Vitas Gerulaitis never beat Bjorn Borg. He had one big chance at Wimbledon one year early on, and Borg was slightly susceptible to an early loss. Too much room that time. It's a good ploy from McEnroe, trying to come in down the middle of the court, not enabling Borg to get too much angle, but that was just had enough room to get that backhand pass across the court. Look where McEnroe's standing now. Right in to take the ball early as he can. Oh, yes. That's a bit better, Bjorn. Even then, he's a little bit tentative getting into that position.
Game Borg.
A moment of still life following the error.
Checking the net.
One game more.
I never miss any of those. I'll tell you what, I didn't see John McEnroe missing. I haven't seen him miss too many smashes. I wouldn't be surprised if he was right about that net being a little low. I mean, a little high.
No, 1-1 in the opening set. First set to McEnroe.
It might have looked like a relatively easy miss from Borg, but what McEnroe did is when the ball was halfway to Borg, he made a little shuffle towards the net, which made Borg have a little second thought about where McEnroe was on the court, thinking that perhaps he's coming to the net, I better go slightly finer towards the sideline. These are the sort of subtle tactics that McEnroe and these players often employed. Rally of the day.
13.
That backhand volley. Look, there's no doubts about it. I was talked about this maybe slightly slower, but the problem why John McEnroe is so successful in the seniors is that we're a little bit slower, but he's still just as accurate.
Slightly late call.
Possibly a touch later.
With which McEnroe
Possibly
agrees.
just a slight touch late.
Playing
on course for Heathrow. And in towards the west.
Game McEnroe. McEnroe leads 2-1, second set, by 1 set to love.
Jan and Novotny, who play in the doubles with Mansour Brahmi against Leconte and Kornikova. And you may have noticed the lady there, there's Betty Stover, whom Virginia Wade beat in the semi-final 1977. I beg your pardon, in the final of 1977.
Well, this is the style that has produced all the great double-handed backhand shots of the modern era. And his movement was absolutely legendary. It was only the accuracy of McEnroe could get past Borg in the early 80s. that's the sort of serving that we've seen from Bjorn Borg. Pass, he's starting to fire up now.
30 love.
This is the lady that Betty Stover beat in the semi-final.
$30-15. $40-15.
Certainly getting the accuracy with his serve now. And that's the sort of serving that he used to do, followed up by a decent second serve, which was difficult to attack.
Game Borg. Two games all.
Signs that McEnroe might have a little more of a handful. It's probably the best game we've seen from Borg. Bjorn, I think that's what they call him in Sweden, his own country. Everybody knows him as Borg.
15 love.
Borg deciding to start to come inside the baseline to McEnroe's serve, trying to prevent that swinging, either taking him out of court or jamming him. See, that serve was going into the Borg's body. Knows that Borg having an opportunity to have a swing is much more dangerous.
30 love.
That's a fine pass.
30-15.
Well, there it is again. We've seen it 4 or 5 times this match. Borg's got to get himself into a winning situation, a situation where he can hit that passing shot. At the moment, McEnroe serving too well, bowling.
Oh, great stuff! Oh, even better! Grinning from ear to ear, but the knee suffered a bit.
30 all.
Oh, great pickups from both guys. Who said they weren't competitive? Oh, great play from Borg. Set up his first break point chance.
30-40.
Now that's the typical Borg, working the ball from side to side. Finally, when getting the opportunity, putting that backhand right into the certainly on the sideline, pulling McEnroe out of court.
Game ball.
Well, I think the signs were there.
Borg leads 3-2, second set. First set, McEnroe.
And the first break of this second set.
Oh, no, John McEnroe, having won 3 Wimbledon titles, he had the opportunity to win. Well, I suppose he had the opportunity to win 4 in a row. Been playing Jimmy Connors in the final of 82.
Well, he beat him in 84, didn't he, Connors?
Time.
David Mercer was in the umpire's chair that day in 84. I suppose if he'd have won the match that he won the tiebreak of and then lost in the 5th set, he would have had an opportunity to have the extra title, obviously.
I think he was very disappointed about losing that match to Connors. Spoke to him after that.
Was. Oh, yes.
15 love.
Well, he just tell you what, yes, he hasn't missed a backhand passing shot. He might have missed a couple of forehands early on in the first set. McEnroe's going to have to do a bit better approaching. Oh, that's great stuff.
30 love.
McEnroe wasn't too sure where he was going to go there. Could have gone across court, could have gone a lob even.
30-15.
Got himself under that one too much. Had to hit it from sort of bend his back to get hold of that one. Hit it up over the back of his head, which is very difficult to smash from there. Borg seeing the opportunity there to really push McEnroe out of court. Pushing it wide. Break back point to McEnroe.
Game McEnroe. Three games all.
And not on typical response.
It was all bluff there, that's for sure, coming in. He didn't have much behind that approach shot. But that's what it's all about. On the break point, McEnroe says, okay, well, it's pressure. You still have to pass me. Borg, knowing that, of course, had to go a little bit finer than he would normally.
Love 15.
Tell you what, this is beginning to be rather good.
Love 30.
Well, Borg's been getting his eye in on the passing shots. McEnroe had to cover the down the line shot, had to run across and cover that completely open court. Just left a little wrong foot shot open.
Love 40.
Just missed a couple of volleys wide, maybe by an inch, half an inch or an inch or so. That one is now given Borg 3 more break points.
15-40.
There's a disguise on that serve. McEnroe's favourite one is the one wide, which would drag the player off the court. He has the ability to hit that one without, and you cannot tell. The ball toss is exactly the same. He comes around very quickly from that side-on position. Oh, that's too good. What a lob. Right off the back of the court. This is the only shot he had on, and he had to hit it to absolute perfection.
McEnroe by 1 set to love.
Look at that, well in. 2 feet in. Incredible stuff. We talked about those years that McEnroe had at Wimbledon. And
he won in 81, 83 and 84, but the Connors game was 82.
So in 82 was the year that he had Jimmy Connors. Of course, if he had have won that match against Borg, the famous tiebreaker in 1980,
yeah,
and he could have and he won the Connors one, and he could have had 5 quite easily. Could have had 5 in a row. And of course, for every player when they're winning these matches, they believe that they can get that record, and that record's so elusive. And of course, Pete Sampras is finding that record of 12 Grand Slams, or 13 as the record would give him, just so elusive.
Love 15.
Let's see whether Borg can hold on. Well, is it Ili Nastasi, Wimbledon finalist?
73. Stan Smith was the one that he came closest to winning.
Love 30. Love 40.
Oh, he's breaking serve all right, he's just having trouble holding. Certainly as easy volleys like that.
Would be the 4th consecutive break. Not yet.
15-40.
Henri Lecomte sitting next to Claudia Schiffer.
I don't think he'd be moving for a while. Don't blame him. Well placed.
Two saved.
30-40.
Oh, that's really well played. Service curling away from John McEnroe's attempt to get that.
Advantage Borg.
So a point for 5-3. Oh dear. Having stretched McEnroe beyond very nearly the point of endurance. It's become the longest game.
First service.
A bit more venom in the Borg serve in this second set compared with the first. Well done, John P. Working hard, the boy.
Advantage McEnroe.
Another chance to square the breaks.
Deuce.
Oh, not too happy about these unforced errors.
Advantage Borg.
I've seen Borg hit plenty of passing shots past McEnroe. That's what often happens when you're not used to hitting a passing shot. All of a sudden you have to under pressure. It's a bit like not being warmed up. And it is certainly different hitting passing shots to hitting ground strokes. And the guys at the net, you've got to cut the angles down. Go closer to the net.
Deuce.
It doesn't look like either player wants to win this game.
That's his first double fault of this set, 5th in total. That's a fine shot by John McEnroe.
Advantage McEnroe. Deuce.
Oh, McEnroe deciding to let that ball sort of drop to enable himself to get that little bit more angle. Of course, by doing that, going all the way back there, left the whole court open.
Advantage McEnroe. Deuce. Advantage McEnroe.
There's another chance. There's a testing game, this. 6 deuces, and there will now be a 7th.
Deuce.
It's just a little overcast at the moment.
Advantage Borg.
Ah! He's taken a bit of time to come out with the most famous line.
Oh dear, it's pities. It's starting to pour down now.
They're playing on. It's increasingly heavy, the rain.
No referee out here to call it off. Where's Millsy now? Alan Mills.
He's here, actually. He's in the crowd. The umbrellas were at the ready, courtesy of the organisers.
God, they're not exactly hitting the ball too hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to the slippery conditions, we will have to stop playing.
That's very unfortunate, but one of the advantages of this court is that it dries very quickly, so they tell me. But umbrellas up all over the place, and it's advantage to Borg in this 8th game of the 2nd set. First set to McEnroe, 6-3, Borg leading 4-3 in the 2nd.
Oh, Bjorn will be a little disappointed. He was starting to get into this match. He's, but it's great. It's great to see these styles, you know, come back. As I said, Bjorn Borg is players Nystrom, Willander, Agassi. He's produced all those backhands. Players that have copied his styles. And of course, John McEnroe. Well, nobody's copied his style. Only copied his style of play. He's getting some treatment from the physio, Bill Norris, the former Davis Cup physio trainer that he called out when he slipped over early on in the match.
Neither player in any particular hurry to leave the court. Just a little bit of easement for John McEnroe.
We will let you know.
Of course, we're all a little bit older. We're getting a few more injuries. This is Bjorn's last year on the circuit, which is really very sad because he's such a popular player. You know, I played the odd seniors tour, and throughout the year, John plays quite a lot. Henri Leconte plays a lot. Bjorn has sort of scaled down his schedule, and he's decided that he's going to be his last year.
He really enjoyed the fact that he took part in that Champions Parade yesterday, which of course you took part in. The thing that impressed me, Pat, was that the players responded in the same way that the crowd did. And when people were coming up and saying, "Oh, I was next to so-and-so, next to so-and-so," because of the different generations.
That's right. It was fantastic just to see those legends that you'd heard about, and of course those legends that you played against and I'd watched on TV. And you know, it's just terrific to see all those players. Pity I couldn't actually seen a lot of them played actually on the court.
So we're looking at a couple of legends here, and they had amazing contests when they were just a little younger than they are now. And I suppose if this rain continues, we may have the opportunity to see one of those occasions. But the rain is still going to fall, and I think if Sue Barker's ready, she's going to take us back to the sunshine of just a few years ago.
Well, it's a shame, isn't it, Barry? We've gone through the whole first week of Wimbledon with very little disruption, and just when these two great champions are out here, this happens. And they're both not leaving the court, though. Well, I think Johnny Mack is just beginning to make his way now. It is such a shame, but hopefully it'll be over early, and we'll be back with this match. But we're going to take you back to possibly their greatest final at Wimbledon. It was back in 1980 with McEnroe. As you can see, that's the score. It's 6-3 to McEnroe. Borg is leading 4-3 in the second set. They're just completing their warm-up now. So it's back to the match and back to the commentary box. Let's rejoin Pat Cash and Barry Davis.
And the players just getting the feel of the court again, which I must say has dried fairly quickly. They got the covers on. There's quite a lot of water to get off the covers, but when they remove them, players feel that the court is not slippery, so we can pick up in a moment where we left off.
Ladies and gentlemen, the score stands advantage Borg, 4-3 second set.
Seven break points he saved. Bjorn Borg. And he stopped the run of games against serve.
Borg
leads
leads
5-3 lead.
Interesting follow through from Borg there. It certainly finished that game off a lot quicker than it was looking. It was going back and forwards forever. So it's great that they're back on court so quickly. Everybody was disappointed that it might be delayed. It's incredible how little these guys have changed. Their style is virtually the same. It's really, after millions and millions of balls being hit, their style is certainly edged in there. Whoa. Bit of a
15.
Unusual bounce.
Yes, the young daughter now has a ball, at least Patty has the ball, but she wants to throw it back. It's all about bringing up your children right, isn't it?
Well, this is what this event's all about.
Exactly. Giving a chance to those who haven't been given that opportunity.
More than that, it's just stopping the rot that's happening in society, abusing children, abusing anybody.
30 love.
Well, just when Bjorn was starting to get the rhythm of the court, the pace of the court, just to go off and start again.
Game McEnroe. Borg leads 5 games to 4. Second set, McEnroe by 1 set to 0.
My Andre imitation.
That's my Andre imitation. You probably just picked that up.
You can see Borg was going to the wide serve there, which is the McEnroe specialty. He's certainly based his whole serve and volleying attack around that slice, which the left-handers can do so well. On the, of course, double-handed backhand, but Borg was going to limit him a slight bit. But then, by popping the one down the line like he did then, completely wrong-footed him.
So Bjorn Borg serving to make it 1 set all.
Oh, great volley. Look at that. Now look at the lack of swing that's there from McEnroe. Just put his racket out there and pushed it deep, right in the corner. That's all that was needed.
Love 30.
Oh, it's the start that he wanted. Love 30 getting into the net at every opportunity.
Right
in the back of the line. Good serve. Now, even though the right-handers obviously can do the same thing to the left-handers by slicing them out, they don't seem to do it as well. Probably because there's less left-handers to practice against.
So break points again. 3 breaks already in the service, in the set.
.30-40. Game McEnroe.
Mac breaks back.
And they seem to be supporting him, and partly at his demand, maybe. So 5-all in the second set, 4th break of the set.
15 love.
30 love.
Foot fault has been called.
McEnroe put off by that foot fault, standing well back, to say the least, on that serve.
That's pretty classic. Take your opponent out of court, put the ball when he moves into the space that you left.
40-15.
So that's the serve that I was talking about. It's the bread and butter for John McEnroe. And then when he wants to, he can go the other way, of course, as well. Oh, that's a great pickup.
McEnroe leads 6-5. Second set by 1 set to love.
And McEnroe better served by the break, Pat, than Borg has been. Hasn't got his game back yet.
No,
5 times Wimbledon champion.
Better watch out. That's for sure. McEnroe's made the quicker start back after the break. And watch the backswing of McEnroe's here. It's like all he does really is stick his racket out and just a little push of the wrist, enabling the ball to go. I mean, that's a very, very tough shot to control, to say the least. I mean, it really is very difficult. It's one thing sort of blocking the ball and getting a bit of underspin on it. There's another thing just sort of throwing your wrist out, throwing the racket out. It's almost like a topspin volley. Giving back a bit of your own medicine there, Mac. Great slice served by Borg.
Serving, of course, to prevent himself losing to his old rival.
First service. love.
Another wrong foot of footed serve. McEnroe's looking to the heavens or saying it's coming raining again. Not sure which.
30-15.
Well, too many double faults from Bjorn today. Wouldn't be too happy about that. He only had about a foot to hit that in.
40-15.
McEnroe's outstretched arms would have got that absolutely straight down the line.
Bit of a thin outside edge, I think.
Game ball. 6 games all. Second set, tiebreak.
So we come to the tiebreak.
Don't think we should expect one like the last one we saw a few minutes ago at Wimbledon back in 81, 80.
McEnroe.
I don't think they were going to 18-16, which was the score then.
Ball's down, boys.
You never know.
Good boy. 1-1. Two one, Borg.
Just the odd spot of rain, which half a dozen or so umbrellas, but no more.
Two all.
Ah, that's delicious.
Great touch, isn't it? Just the way he cut underneath the ball.
3-2, McEnroe.
The racket will go a bit of right to left. There we go. Just open the face, drop it back.
Hear that? Bjorn. Come on!
Yes! Willed in by McEnroe. The first break in the tie break.
Well, whatever you can do,
McEnroe.
I can do better.
And he's already prepared as they change ends at 6 points.
He's pumped.
Good stuff.
Five two, McEnroe.
Using the whole court there, Mac. He's coming in, waiting for the attack. As soon as he got the half an opportunity to get in, he snuck in there, and he's done so well hitting that forehand volley down the line today.
Two serves would see him home. Ooh, close, but at the wrong side of the line, that's for sure.
5-3, McEnroe.
Not quite as straightforward as he was hoping. Still has one break advantage. And he now has 3 match points.
6-3, McEnroe.
Rain beginning to fall rather harder.
McEnroe ready for it to attack.
Oh.
6-4, McEnroe.
Well, he's been deadly after with a double-handed backhand today. He's missed a few forehands.
Still match points.
Six-5, McEnroe.
And the last chance will now be on his own serve.
Game, set, a match, McEnroe.
Well, we saw many of the old sides.
2 sets to love.
Shades
6-3,
of
7-6.
the characters that we came to know and love so well. Contrasting characters. Good contest, 6-3, 7-6. The outcome of the main beneficiaries here, and rightly so, by something like £1.5 million.
There will be further
The
refreshments.
NSPCC and
hopefully no
His Royal
further
Highness
rest.
the Duke of York's
And the
campaign
mixed doubles
of
between
full stop
Jan and
to end cruelty
Matsuo
against
Barami
children.
And Anna Kournikova and Henri Lecomte.
Yes, a tremendous cause and a tremendous match from John McEnroe and Bjorn Borg. Well, Borg won back in 1980, the match we watched during the rain delay, but McEnroe got revenge today. Well, we'll hopefully hear from both the players later on Grandstand, but because of the rain delay, we're a little late going to the athletics at Glasgow. But from John McEnroe, Bjorn Borg and Buckingham Palace, we go to Steve in Glasgow.
Nice to see him back on court, as it was yesterday to see him returning to the centre court. Bjorn Borg receives his runner-up trophy from His Royal Highness the Duke of York, and a magnum to go with it.
Always unique in his way, John McEnroe has now become the first player ever to win a match at Buckingham Palace. John McEnroe.
To the obvious delight of his children, John McEnroe receives the winner's trophy. Is she going to be able to hold that? Yes, she is. So the victor of the Duke of York's NSPCC challenge, which took place in the grounds of Buckingham Palace, John P. McEnroe.
John, congratulations, champion here at Buckingham Palace. How does that sound?
Well, it sounds great. You know, I didn't know I'd ever hear that, but it was a lot of fun, and you know, it was par for the course. A little bit of rain just to keep us guessing a bit, but we got through it, and it was great. It was great to be here.
What did you take at when you went off for that rain break? Because you came out absolutely firing after that.
A little ice cream. Gave me some. I knew I was good for about 15, 20 minutes, you know, and then I started, you know, needing a nap. So at the moment, I'm doing great.
Bjorn, I'll bring you in here. He was tough today, huh?
Yeah, he was tough, especially the end of the second set. I think he needed a rain break, though. He looked strong when he came back.
I've got bad news for you. During the rain break, we went back to 80 to show that tie break.
Yeah, that's really bad news, though. No, but anyway, it was fun to play here, though. Especially play with my friend John here.
My buddy.
Because you are good friends, aren't you?
Yeah, we are, though. We are very good friends. And it's an honor for us to play here. And, you know, it's a good course, good charity to play for, and hopefully we'll be invited back. Not to play, though, but just invited back.
You've enjoyed it too, haven't you, John?
Yeah, it was a beautiful spot, and you know, like Bjorn said, we just want to be invited back, just have a little tea and scones.
I think he's listening.
Great, good.
But what about next week? I mean, it's starting to rain now, so I better let you go. Are you going to be back in the commentary box for us next week?
I'm ready to go. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a great first week, and I think we got you know, it's Wimbledon. We've got a few more surprises to come.
And Bjorn, it was lovely to see you back at Wimbledon yesterday. Are you going to be back there next week or not?
I will be back tomorrow, actually. But for me, it was a big thrill to come back to Wimbledon. I mean, Wimbledon, for me, it's in my heart. It's the biggest thing for me, though, in the world regarding playing tournaments. So it was a special feeling being back there.
Okay, we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And well done today. Fabulous match. Thank you. John McEnroe, Bjorn Borg.